Ladies and gentlemen, Major Pete Chambers. Wow. I didn't expect that. First of all, I want to start with this guy right here. That's my brother. He didn't mention it, but he served in the reserves as a military policeman. Arrested guys like me in the infantry. Alright, so he never had to arrest me. I'm going to try to speak loudly. I'm going to use my enlisted voice because I'm an officer now, but I was enlisted before, which means I worked for a living. Right? Who y'all? Semper Fi. Where's my devil dog back there? I know there's one back there. We're talking to you. Alright, I am an honorary Marine as well. Even though I served in the Army, I worked in Fallujah for a while. It's a little town out west of here. A lot east of here if you're on this side of the world. But yeah, I worked there with the Marines quite extensively, so I can say Semper Fi. I'm going to start off with a little tribute. All the veterans in the room that stood up before, I want you to stand up again, including George. Don't hide it. Omaha Beach. Stay standing. Omaha Beach. Casino. Okinawa. Iwo Jima. Guadalcanal. Pusan Perimeter. Frozen Chosin Reservoir. Suwon. Ashaw Valley, Vietnam. Man, Vicky's here. Uncle Pat's not here. He served in Vietnam. Da Nang. Grenada. Panama. Iraq. Afghanistan and Asadabad, Jalalabad, all the places I'm going back to. Benghazi. We've lost soldiers and sailors, Marines, airmen, Coast Guardsmen, all the way around. Ladies and gentlemen, this is real. Go ahead and be seated and let's give them a hand again. Speaking of real, I got yours, thank you. Speaking of real. Alright. I got a lot of words written down. I'm not going to use them other than to remind myself of stuff. Being a former 11 Bravo, sometimes they say we're not the smartest tools in the box. Because we're infantrymen and we carry a rifle and pull the trigger. Well, this infantryman went to medical school, believe it or not, and he passed. You know what they call the last guy that graduated medical school? Doctor. Doctor. They also call you a captain. So that's where I was starting out as an officer. But I still had that old infantryman in me. Had the old infantryman in me, and 9/11 happened, and there I was again. A lot of us came back. So I'm reminded as the Greek heritage comes through of 480 BC, the Spartans. We know who those guys were, right? 300 of them. My mom's family from Mani, nearby Sparta. So I got a little bit of that blood in me. 300 of them stood at a place called Thermopylae, the Hot Gates. And at that place, I've taken my son a few times now, and we kind of stole some rocks and brought it back. But don't tell the Greek government. They're in turmoil right now anyway. Anyway, there's a stone there and it says, stranger, passing by. Go tell the Spartans that here we lie, in obedience to their laws. Some fancy words, but there's a true meaning behind that. Those 300 soldiers went there and they held off an army, some say up to 1 million Persians, and they held them off to save democracy, to save eventually what this country became, a democratic society, a republic. From that, those lessons that my dad taught me and that my mom taught me, I was able to carry that on. And when I was 17 and my dad was an immigrant, always said, you need to give back to the country. So I gave back and I joined the Army. And George joined and served in the reserves. We've served since then, since 1983 for me. Became a doctor, came back in. They were wounded on the battlefield, and that's where I need to be. So I'm going to keep it real. I'll talk about two gentlemen, talk about a few more, but two gentlemen, I'm going to stay within a good time limit here. First guy here is Jeff Shaver, sergeant type. All right, Sergeant Jeff Shaver. Sergeant Jeff Shaver was a National Guardsman from Washington State. I promised his mom I would always talk about him, and I will. I wear his name on this wrist right here. If anybody ever wonders, they say, what kind of jewelry is that? I get that on the plane a lot. What is that? That's not jewelry. What that is a remembrance of a soldier that died in combat for our freedom. What that is a remembrance of a soldier who died right next to me about a foot away and saved my life. Because that day, in 12 May 2004, Grid Court at Mike Bravo 456 789 at 10:30 in the morning, Diwan Province in Iraq, he saved my life. I rode on my own guns every day, meaning as a TC, as a troop commander in a 3-vehicle convoy, all the way from Kuwait to Baghdad, I ran on my own 50 cal. You know why? Because I'm a former 11 Bravo and I know how to do the head space and timing. All right, for all the soldiers who understand that. Meaning, I took command and I led from the front. Whether a doctor, whether infantryman or not, we're in combat. So I led from the front. So I was always on my own guns. And I would talk to my guys in the trucks via radio. That day, Jeff Shaver, that young medic right there, that 23-year-old medic who wanted to come into a unit like us, decided to come down with us on a mission and support us medically. And said, sir, can I ride on that 50 cal? I said, absolutely. You know how to set the head spacing timing on it? Which is a technical term, but it was a joke between us. I love the kid. And that morning, my vehicle was blown up, and instantly we lost Jeff. A few months later, well, several months later, a year later, I got to meet his mom. And when I met his mom, I was worried because we were going to a place in the country that's a little more liberal. I'm a little more conservative, I'll be honest with you. And I was worried that, what is she going to say? I'm going to present to her the story of how her son saved my life by taking the guns that day and standing his post until properly relieved. General Order Number 1. And she said to me, when I told her the story, live your life each day so that his life was not in vain. Sergeant Jeff Shaver. The second soldier, Captain P.K. Keel, right there on this side. I'm sorry, y'all, he's a good-looking guy. He's one of my classmates. And I talked to his family, too. He said, from now on, he died this year, a few months ago. We buried him about a month ago. Captain Keel was in the course with me. He's a member of the team, of which I'm not at liberty to say, but men that fight at the tip of the spear. Imagine a spear, all the soldiers. At the very tip of it is the elite, it's the Spartans. And P.K. Keel, Andrew Keel, was one of the leaders. During the course, he accepted a mission in training that went bad. Half of his soldiers went one way, half of his soldiers went the other way. He took the blame for the older soldiers because, as an officer, you're in charge of everything that happens or fails to happen. He took the lead on that day and he failed the course. And he had to recycle that same course that we went through. God love him. But he did it. And he went downrange on the tip of the spear. And a couple months ago, paid the ultimate sacrifice. Again, I'd like to thank you for talking about soldiers that are wounded, that are still here. Because we got a lot of work to do. I take care of them every day. You should see my list. I have a list of wounded warriors that I take care of. 3 pages long. Triple amputee, bilateral amputee, traumatic brain injury, through and through projectile injury. The guy is still working. He's not wanting disability. He's not wanting to do anything. He's wanting to go to work every day. I look across me in PT in the morning, physical training, and I see a guy with bilateral below-the-knee amputation still working out. My medic, my personal medic, has a seizure about every 3 months because he still has metal in his brain from shrapnel. He doesn't want to get out and go to disability. He wants to stay at work. These guys are there right now doing the job. And I remember them. We always remember them. That's Sergeant Williams. They get mad that I said his name. But I outrank him. 2 quotes, and then I'm going to do something special after that. 2 quotes. John 15:13. Greater love hath no man that he laid on his life for his friends. I'm a Christian and I'm proud to say it. And I will look at every one of my soldiers in the eye, and before we go out on mission and say, do you know Jesus? you better, because we're fixing to go out and get after it. And they do. And they get tired of it sometimes. And I'm reading scriptures to them, but they're learning it. The second one is, I just learned a month or so ago, General Patton. I'm going to have to read it because my traumatic brain injury is kicking in. I use it with my wife sometimes. It's great. Take out the trash. What? I forgot. I shouldn't have gave that up. I'm in trouble. It's foolish and wrong. Foolish and wrong to mourn those men who died. Rather, thank God that such men lived. All right? We're going to end with one final exercise. We call it a roll call. Those of us in uniform understand what it is. Those of you that don't or never have served, you will find out. So please bear with us. Roll call. Chief Robert Cochin.
Present.
Major Earl Bedford.
Here, aboard.
Airborne. Sergeant Jeff Shaver. Sergeant Jeff Shaver. Sergeant Jeff Shaver. Captain Andrew Keel. Captain Andrew Keel. Captain Andrew Keel. Present but to God. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.